Welcome to another episode on a brand new season of NFL Reviews. I'm Legacy.
And I'm Max.
I'm Jay.
And this one, we're doing our NFL Week 1 recaps. Woo!
Yeah, baby.
Only one person's team escaped with the victory this week. Hey, I got two teams and none for one.
I'm not surprised.
No. I'm not surprised at all.
So let's go ahead. We're going to go into the first week, the first game of the season. It was to bring the NFL back after several months of waiting and 200 plus days. It was the defending Super Bowl champions losing to the Detroit Lions, the new up-and-coming team, 21-20.
I sure wish Kadarius Toney would have saved this performance for the Super Bowl.
You'd be a happier man.
You'd be a very happy man right now.
I don't like how people are kind of hand-waving away the Lions win because he didn't play. It's still Mahomes. It's still the Chiefs. You know,
Kadarius Toney is the reason the Chiefs lost, though.
Yes.
Oh, 100.
But the Chiefs still only put up 20 points.
I know, but I would say the defense played well because, their Tony allowed the pick six. That was all his fault.
Yeah.
So defense held well even without Chris Jones. Yeah. And I think Mahomes looked pretty good with having limited weapons. Because, he would have had a lot. Think about it. He would have had a lot more yards if Kadarius Toney had hands.
Yeah. He would have probably scored in that one drop. But
Yeah.
But, you had to give credit to the Lions. They came to play, and this was a huge game for them. I wouldn't say they played great. The defense played pretty well. Yeah, who was it? Mike Tirico said there was an asterisk on this.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, fam, you don't do that in NFL. You don't. Football's way too hard to be saying an asterisk. Nah, that's totally classless, I think.
Yeah, it's awful. I don't like it.
One, this just highlighted a problem that several of us have talked about, and it was really scaped over. Of the fact is, right now, this offense, if you do not have Travis Kelce, the receiving core is not that great and can be a problem. So that's one thing that it did highlight. Now, most likely, luckily for them, Travis Kelce is usually pretty healthy, but I think down the stretch, like in case he gets any major injury, that's one thing that it does highlight as well of the defense and the receiving core. The receiving core is not that great. We kind of knew that. We already knew this coming into the season. Kadarius Toney, there's a reason the Giants got rid of him. So that was on them. And, you don't foresee him playing this bad, but, it's one of those things that happens.
This should have been a wake-up call, and they should try. I know they don't have a lot of money and all that, but they should try to get some sort of upgrade at receiver through the trade market.
They did. The one good thing I will say, this did probably help them with getting Chris Jones signed that 1-year deal. So he is coming back.
Yeah, the Chiefs will be fine, but I think you have to be concerned because you already have one game without Travis Kelce. What if he gets hurt again?
Sure, he is
in the same situation. So
he is in his mid-30s. With as many receptions as he catches, he's in his mid-30s. Injuries happen. So, yeah, that's got to be a very big concern. The other side of the ball, what do we think? I think we had a pretty good going for it on that fourth down because I think that helped a lot.
You play the Chiefs, you go for it.
You have to take this risk. You're the Lions. You want to make a statement because everybody's hyping you up this year. And, you're playing the defending Super Bowl champions. You got to do it.
Oh, no, not a bad game. Got to get your wins like you can because this is usually a game that the Lions would have lost.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next game. It is gonna be the battle of NFC South. It is the Falcons versus the Panthers.
I'm so numb to the Panthers losing to Atlanta because they always lose to Atlanta. They lose to them more than Saints or Tampa Bay. It's ridiculous. Bryce Young didn't look too good. He looked good first 2 drives. But in the rest of the game, he was not good at all.
He was, in fact, terrible, if we're going to put it bluntly. He averaged 3.8 yards per catch, per pass.
His rating for the game was 48.8, QBR 14.5.
Yeah, again, it's his first start, so, you kind of
I'm not,
don't want to be too harsh.
I don't think he's going to be terrible. It's not a good first game. Well, if this happens again, then I'm going to be a little concerned.
Well, they did play the Saints, so it could happen again.
That's a shame. Well, yeah, that could very well happen.
I will say positively for their offense, the running game looked pretty good. They averaged a fair.
Mike Sanders did fumble, but
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard. As a whole, they ran 154 yards for 4.8 yards per rush, That's pretty good. The passing is going to need some work, obviously, but Bryce Young is, no pun intended, young. So he'll figure it out. But watching this game, he just missed a lot of throws that just seemed to be gimmies. I don't know if it was just in his head or it's his first time facing an NFL pass rush that wasn't in the preseason. So maybe, sometimes it takes a while to get your footing.
But it's just the same issues as last year. The offense can't score at all. Defense can only do so much. Defense was
J.C.
good.
Horn hurt.
Yeah, J.C. Horn hurt again. I didn't even want them to draft him. And now I still like him as a player, but you never see him on the field, so that's become a problem.
He's starting to fall into the Jason Verrett kind of deal.
But, Thomas Davis was hurt for like 3-4 years in a row, and then he had a decent, good end career, so we'll see. But it's starting to get worrisome for sure. But yeah, the offense is still in the mud. I mean, I might as well have the coach yesterday. Might as well have been Matt Rule with how bad the team looked.
Oh man,
that's rough. The Falcons really just gashed them in a running game. They had a total 130 rushing yards with 5 yards per attempt. And because Desmond Ridder, his numbers look okay if you look at the stat line, but I don't think he played great. He just took what was there, didn't do anything spectacular, but didn't mess anything up. So
here's another thing: the Panthers had the ball in 9 more minutes than the Falcons, and they only scored 10 points.
Yeah, and to be fair, none of the rookie quarterbacks won.
No, and then there's that stat on that rookie quarterback, so it was like 1-13 in week 1 or 1-12 or something like that.
This week it wasn't just the rookie quarterbacks that stunk.
We're going to go into a game that was a shocker with a quarterback that probably going to get overhyped and go into our week 1 overreactions. It's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Minnesota Vikings 20-17.
See, I don't really think this is the Bucs winning. It's just Kirk Cousins became a turnover machine.
The Kirk Cousins, I've always said, he's a king of this. He's a king of posting pretty numbers, which his stat line, if you look at it, doesn't look bad at all. 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, 102.8 rating. Did have 1 pick and a fumble, I think. But
he had 3 turnovers.
Two fumbles for a loss.
I say he always posts pretty numbers on paper, right? But then he just loses. I think he is the stat deceiver. His stats don't indicate how good he actually is. His stats actually show him being better than what he is. But for the Bucs, you're talking about Baker Mayfield. I mean, he didn't play spectacular. So if anyone's hyping him up, they need to calm down a little bit because he only averaged 5.1 yards per pass. He just had the 2 touchdowns, which is good, of course. But he didn't turn over the ball. I don't think he fumbled. So he played a turnover-free game, and which mattered in this game. But I'm still not that impressed. I don't know how good the Vikings are. We said they were overrated last year.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. We'll have to see.
Because I really don't think the Bucs are good. So
no, I don't. No. I think their defense is still pretty solid. Again, they just have a crap offense. I'm with you there, but at the same time, I think for the Bucs, what the bad thing is what we're gonna kind of get into later is probably they might have just shot themselves in the foot because let's say Baker wins a couple games, you also might be shooting yourself out of the Williams wild card.
So I just think the Cardinals have that wrapped up already.
You never know. I mean, I think most likely it is the Cardinals, but some teams just it capitulates.
If somebody's worse than the Cardinals this year, I'm going to be shocked.
But yeah, you're right. Winning this game hurts them long term because Baker's not going to be the guy. He's not going to have this Geno turnaround, which we'll talk about Geno in a little bit. We'll see if that's fully turned around or if that was a 1-year fluke. But
it was a 1-year fluke.
But yeah, well, we'll get there. But for Baker, he's a game manager. This was a game manager type game. This is nothing to brag about. They won, but it's just like I'm not impressed.
Yeah, it's one of those. Well, and last year, Vikings won a lot of these one-score games. This is the first time since 2 years ago that they finally lost a one-score game. So that was one of the critiques I did have on them regressing was they won all these one-score games. I didn't think it was sustainable, especially the way they won it.
Yeah, and I think they're going to miss Dalvin Cook more than they think because the running game for Minnesota was horrible.
Yeah, Madison had 11 carries, 34 yards. Like, that was another question I had is, can Madison take control and actually run the ball? So it's going to be interesting, if this persists, do they then maybe start talking to the Colts and be like, well, what's Jonathan Taylor cost or whatnot, as well as the Buccaneers now? I think if they also had lost, I think they still have an opportunity, but if they start sucking some more, maybe Mike Evans might go on the trade block.
But for Vikings, I mean, if they beat the Eagles, then I guess you're not going to be on Thursday. Then you're not going to be worried. But if they start out 0-2, yeah, it may look a little rough. And with the way Green Bay looked, this division may not be as easy as we thought.
All right, we're gonna get into probably one of the biggest upsets of this year. The biggest upsets of the week was the Browns beating the Bengals 3-24.
Joe Burrow does not like playing in Cleveland. I'll tell you that. I don't know what it is. For 31 pass attempts, you get 82 yards. I mean, that's pretty much all-time inefficient right there. He didn't have any interceptions or anything. But
you know what's crazy is his QBR is still 20, which was higher than Bryce Young.
It's because he didn't turn it over. That's the only reason.
And he had average 2.6 yards.
Yeah, when you throw into the weapons he has, it's almost impossible. But the Browns defense looks legitimate. Their pass rush was in Burrow's lap the whole day, but it was still shocking to see that they did
Dallas are going to be scary defenses, apparently.
I truly am impressed with the defense, how they slowed Joe Burrow down.
Deshaun Watson didn't look so great. I mean, he looked just like average, but we'll see.
Well, now I would say passing the ball, Deshaun Watson is still not there to where he was. Running wise, he looks good. He looks good, but passing wise, he's still not Houston Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah, of course not.
But they do have an advantage of he doesn't have to be that, and we'll see if he could get somewhat to that. Then if this defense can hold like it has, we'll see.
We'll see. A stud.
Yeah, I'm trying to see with not overreacting over this game because Burrow just has a horrible record versus the Browns. It's just the one team he just can't figure out. I think he has one win versus the Browns, or he's lost.
I think it's 1-5, 1-6, something like that. Yeah. It's crazy.
So it's one win. And also the Bengals just have a thing for not starting off any season well. I know last year, just like with this year, he got hurt, missed training camp. This year he got hurt, missed several weeks, just came back. So I'm not really worried about that team. They'll put together. They figure it out.
Well, for the Browns, I got to see a little more before I get involved. But this was a good win for them. Clearly, a big division win against who we think is going to be the division winner in the Bengals. So can't say anything negative for them. But I got to see a little more before I believe in them. Yeah,
you're right. It is a big win, and especially if they're going to be fighting for playoffs, you're going to have to win those games you're supposed to, and the ones you don't, this is a big win that they need.
So the Browns have beaten the Bengals 9 of the past 11 times. I didn't realize it was so one-sided.
We're going to go into another game. We're going into a team that we have high hopes for. By we, I mean me. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars beating Indianapolis Colts. Had a bit of a shaky start, but they kind of put it together to come away with the win.
Yeah, Colts. I think Anthony Richardson, he didn't play great, but I think he played better than I thought he would.
No, he missed some throws. Of all the rookie quarterbacks, I mean, he played fine. He was the best runner on the team by a mile because Deion Jackson was awful. And that hurts to say because he's a Blue Devil, but
I know.
If you take out Anthony Richardson, they have 16 carries for 25 yards. See, this is why I don't get why they're so dead set by them, Jim Irsay, dead set on pissing Jonathan Taylor off. This is the time to pay a running back. It's when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract. And Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson are perfect for each other. Him opening up the RPO for Anthony Richardson will be huge. The running lanes for both of them are going to be wide open.
The non-pillowhead owners would know that.
One of the dumbest things I've seen an owner do is just intentionally piss off your player. And don't do drugs, kids. But for the Jaguars, we said it at the end of last year that this Calvin Ridley thing would pay off, and it looks like it's paying immediate dividends. He looked like a star out there.
Yeah, I thought he was going to take a little bit to get it acclimated.
He got hosed, Ridley.
Yeah, he did. Trevor Lawrence was still in some dimes. Not his best game, but this is definitely, he has some pretty wow throws in this game. I think he's definitely, as we said in the preview show, he's definitely going to be in the tier, I think, in the Justin Herbert tier after the season.
He's going to be in the Burrow, Mahomes, and I'm going to say this, he's passing Josh Allen this year. He's going to be Burrow, Mahomes. He is going to be in that top tier. Maybe at the bottom of the top tier, but he'll be in the top tier. But yeah, I think I think that team's also showing. I feel Jacksonville's kind of a second half team because I feel sometimes they start off a little bit slow and then kind of work their way into the game, which is not a bad thing. I mean, they scored in every quarter, but this was a win they needed to because, I mean, they want to get off to a good win there.
Everyone's expecting Jaguars to do well. If they came out of the blocks this year, lose to the Colts, that would kill all the hype. They're like, okay, these are the same old Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a stat that Jacksonville had lost. I can't remember, it was like 5 or something straight at Indianapolis, so they broke that streak.
We're going to go into our next game. We're going to hit it up to a nice slobber knocker with Jacob's second team, the Tennessee Titans, barely losing to the Saints.
It wasn't a defensive struggle. It was Tannehill confident giving it to the defense. Me personally, I've seen enough of Tannehill. If you're going to lose anyway, you might as well put someone in who you can see what you have. Obviously, Malik Willis wasn't good last year, but he seems to have played better at least in the preseason. So see what he has. If not, Will Levis. But you know what you have in Tannehill. You're not going anywhere. He's getting old. He's losing his mobility. He's making terrible reads. He's underthrowing and overthrowing.
We watched a fair amount of this game, and every time we looked, the Titans were punting.
He was forcing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, which DeAndre Hopkins played fine. He wasn't separating as much as he used to because he didn't even get 10 yards a catch. But 13 targets, so he was pretty much staring him down. The defense knew he was going to try to throw DeAndre, and so they had an easy time picking him off. Truly terrible. It's the same issues. Tannehill is awful and killing the team. You only have a year or two left of like good to decent Derrick Henry, I would say, because he's getting up there in age. You need to go now. Probably, if they keep Tannehill, they will finish with like 6 wins.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I mean, they might, like you said, they might as well just throw the reins to Malik Willis.
Yeah. If you're going to get 6 wins, you might as well play Malik Willis and Will Levis. They can probably get you to 5-6.
There's just no point. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill. I would just, you know what? Let's just see what the young guys got.
I'm tired of watching Tannehill kill drives and momentum. It's just so frustrating to watch this dude play now. I knew that contract was going to be a mistake. I knew it. But with the Saints, like Derek Carr, I mean, he was like okay, I guess. But Olave is looking really good.
He averaged 9 yards a throw.
Yeah. So he did have like a pretty bad pick, but Olave looks good. He looks like, I mean, I don't even think that you need Michael Thomas anymore. But Michael Thomas, as far as I know, he is still healthy, so that's pretty good for him. That's a good week for him. 5 catches, 61 yards, and no injuries, so you got to take that. And then you got Rashid Shaheed, who commentary, they were struggling with that name. He looks really good.
Both these defenses play great. I mean, both these are good defenses here. Saints, we already knew were a good defense. Tennessee was good last year. We kind of, was seeing that they could continue it. But I thought Derek Carr did pretty well this game. The running game for the Saints wasn't very good, but they don't have Alvin Kamara. I think Derek Carr showed that he is an improvement over Andy Dalton and Jameis from last year. So this team, I definitely can see winning 10, 11 games.
Yeah, we'll move on to our next game. It was the next game was a battle of a giant, and the 49ers coming out, making a statement win in Pittsburgh, 30-7, playing well, defense looking strong. I got to say, this game was one that I was really in tune to watching, of just the 49ers, both sides of the ball. Their offense looked amazing. Their offense looks good, well-oiled machine. Brock Purdy did not see any rust. I know coming back from injury, there was a little question marks of, like, is he affected at all? But he looked great.
He was just fine.
And then Christian McCaffrey beasting. Sure. 22 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown, 6.9 average. And then the Ayuk getting open.
Ayuk might end up being their overall stats at the end of the year. If he keeps that, he might outperform Debo just because Debo might command just the better corner. So it just.
I think he will.
Yeah,
I think he will.
I think George Kittle fans are going to suffer because Chris McCaffrey's going to get passes. Debo, Brandon Ayuk's going to get passes. So George Kittle might be the man.
Yeah.
And he only had Kittle only had 3 catches, 19 yards.
But I think it's just kind of one of those things, like Ayuk will do well, but once he starts doing better, teams will probably focus on him away from Debo, and then it'll just kind of alternate.
Yeah, whatever you do on defense, someone is going to get you. They have too many weapons.
On the other side of the ball, Kenny Pickett, I mean, it's bad. He didn't play great, but at the same time, that defense came to play today. It was no joke.
Yeah, I still don't know what to make of Pickett. I honestly didn't think he looked that good last year. And so far, he doesn't look good this year. But, I mean, I'll give him grace. This was a very tough opponent. And he was getting harassed all day long by the defensive line for the 49ers. So I'll wait and pass judgment. And he did lose Deontay Johnson for a few weeks with a hamstring pull, too. So that's going to be tough. They didn't run it a lot. 46 passes for Pickett, more than they want to do. Not the best day there for them.
Let's see, Pittsburgh plays the Browns next. Ooh.
49ers look good. I think that was making a statement of like, we're back, we're here, we're ready to go. So that's always good for them. We're going to move into our next game. This was one of the games that was in for two teams that were in the lottery for Caleb Williams next year. It was the Commanders beating the Cardinals. So congratulations, Cardinals.
Yeah.
You look like trash.
Mm-hmm.
And you might get Caleb
be
Williams.
upset. I would be upset at Commanders fans that you had to score 10 unanswered points in the fourth to pull ahead and beat the Cardinals. Yes. So there is some concern there. But otherwise, I mean, hey, you got the dub.
They really didn't play. I felt Cardinals lost this game more than the Commanders won this game.
Both teams lost 2 fumbles, so they were just daring each other to, beat each other. But to have a Joshua Dobbs-led Cardinals team lose only by 4 against you, and you had to, like I said, you had to come back in the fourth to do it, there's got to be some concern. Somehow looked okay. He did have that fumble for a touchdown, but he did have a rushing touchdown, passing touchdown. I still don't think he's going to be that great, but people seem to be hyped on him.
There's a lot of Washington fans that preseason he looked good, right? But people always do this. Someone looked good in preseason. Kenny Pickett looked amazing in preseason. The preseason doesn't matter for offensive performance because defenses don't game plan for it. They don't.
No, they don't. And honestly, like I feel Howell's stats look better than how he played because he looked like he was off. Like he looked like he was struggling to read defenses at points. He did not look that great. That I'm like, once you actually play a good defense, which unfortunately for Sam Howell, you have the Eagles, the Cowboys, who we're going to talk about later, and the Giants as well in your division. I think these teams are all salivating of like, we're about to beat the brakes off these dudes because what are we afraid of?
Yeah, I agree with Jacob. I think as a Commanders fan, it was a home game, new ownership. Crowds, they're super excited for this team. They have a lot of hope. He has fantastic weapons on offense, and they barely beat these Cardinals teams who we're essentially saying are tanking the season. So not the best look. I thought Washington was going to blow them out. I was expecting something maybe like even the 49ers game. The fact that it was close is kind of red flag for them.
If they had lost, though, because at one point it looked like they were, I think Ron Rivera would have been fired right there.
Because their next games is they're at Denver, then they play Buffalo, at Eagles. I don't think they're winning that many games, honestly. All right, we're going to go into the next game. This game was definitely one that it went pretty much how we expected. It was the Baltimore Ravens beating down the Houston Texans.
It sucks for J.K. Dobbins. That's probably the career right here.
Yeah, he lasts one game, and it's a damn shame because he really wanted to be great with the way you hear him talking. He wanted to be the guy, but some plays it just doesn't happen. It doesn't look like it's going to happen for him, especially a running back. I will say, for the Ravens, though, I was kind of disappointed with the offensive performance. I thought they would look a lot better.
It wasn't great. Again, I still have questions over this team. Like, Lamar Jackson didn't throw for a touchdown. I get it. It's not everything. But, I mean, he ran all right, but it was like it's the Texans. What'd you expect?
Yeah. But they just got a new offensive coordinator, so people were expecting this to kind of be a much better looking offense. Todd Monken, I believe he coached Georgia or something like that.
Because their old one was really good in their run game, had a really good run game scheme, and they wanted somebody who's going to put the ball in the air more. If they underperform, again, we're looking back at what is that contract you gave Lamar Jackson? Because, again, let's say I understood why they didn't want to pay him.
Like I said, this game went exactly how I thought. I knew Houston wouldn't look great, and I knew Baltimore would beat them by multiple scores.
I think it's going to be interesting now. Gus Edwards is back plugged in with Zay Flowers because J.K. Dobbins. He said they're not going to look for a running back.
No, because you have Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. That should hopefully carry you.
Jacob, the quarterback stats for this week, and I have 2 of them. The yards per attempt was 6.25. That is the fewest in a week 1 since 1996. That's huge because you're talking about a completely different league then. Yeah. And then there's also, this one's even crazier, 9.77 yards per completion for the NFL this week, the fewest in week 1 since 1970. You're talking 70s NFL offenses. They had less yards completion today than they did then.
That's tough.
Does this also have something with correlation because teams do not play preseason? Yes. They're coming in rusty. That you're seeing the rust.
Yep. The Eagles coach after their game, which we'll talk about the Eagles in a little bit, but Nick Sirianni said that he's rethinking how he's going to do preseason next year. He's
I think other teams will as well.
Because especially offense is timing, and especially if you have a lot of new players, timing's everything. That's why offense, if it starts looking shaky, it's a lot of timing and figuring out, okay, where are you going to be? Are you going to be here? So
because even teams have been together. Look at we just talked about the Bengals. They've been together for a while now, and they were still out of sync.
On the other side of ball, CJ Stroud, I mean, it wasn't a great matchup for. Yeah. He looked okay. It was also a hard matchup playing the Ravens at Baltimore too. Yeah, is your first game. It's not the ideal.
Yeah, if they play the Colts next. They play the Colts next. That'll be a better test.
Yeah, for this game, I mean, this is really not to say. It's kind of what I thought.
This is what you expected. Mm-hmm. The only thing you probably would have expected was Baltimore's offense to show up a little bit more.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go into our next game. We're going to go into another divisional game. It was Green Bay over the Chicago Bears.
All right, before we talk about it, I got a question for you. Who would y'all take right now, knowing what we know? Justin Fields or Jordan Love?
I still take Fields.
I would still take Fields right now.
I still take Fields. I think Jordan Love still has a better team.
We'll do this week by week, and we'll see if there's a week you change your mind.
Okay, here's the thing. I think he's got to leave Chicago. I just don't think that. I just don't know. It just seems like there's something about Chicago that just can't produce good quarterbacks. So if the Panthers had drafted him like I wanted him to, maybe it would be a different story.
Check it. There's another team quarterbacks that's cursed too.
Yeah, Chicago and New York. Yeah, the Jets.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But Justin Fields struggled for like the first 3 quarters, but that fourth quarter he showed that touchdown pass he had was pretty good. But
it's also the defense isn't playing as hard. They were whooping them.
But it's still good.
I would say, it was. But I would say Justin Fields to me just still looks so inconsistent as a passer. I don't think he's improved much at all from last year at throwing the ball, and that's kind of worrying if I was a Bears fan. He did not look great on the ball.
Next thing, that's tough. And then the Bucks, Chiefs, then Broncos. Wow, that's a tough schedule.
Tough defenses. So I mean, if this keeps up for Justin Fields, let's say he doesn't look much better than this, right? I mean, you're talking. It's almost time to call it.
Yeah,
I definitely think they'll be entertaining trade offers.
I think so. The good thing, again, you're still in Williams watch, so you didn't win, so you're still in the Williams watch. Or
at home to open the season, you will finally get all this hype, this offseason hype, and the Packers just moved off from Aaron Rodgers. This is your time to turn the tables and finally beat Green Bay, and they still can't do it.
No.
They're just kind of like the Bengals against the Browns, I guess, cursed to lose all the time.
What do we think about Jordan Love?
I will say his accuracy is an issue, but
his accuracy is bad. But it looks like he's got a good deep ball. It looks like.
I think he's gonna be right now best at game manager. I think it's just he's got a really good run game, good defense, solid line. I think it's just like he wasn't gonna get tested this game. That I'm like, I don't think it was gonna be. Really proved anyway.
As a Green Bay fan, I wouldn't say you're crazy for thinking, hey, did we do it 3 times in a row? I don't think they will.
Yeah, no, you didn't. I'm going to tell you that right now. No, you didn't. You did not take 3 top 10 quarterbacks in a row. So luckily, I mean, the next couple games, Green Bay's at the Falcons, and then they play Saints and the Detroit Lions. So,
I mean, they could be 3-1.
They could not do bad because after that they play at Raiders, at Broncos, Vikings at home, Rams at Steelers. Their schedule really does not get too difficult. It's not a hard schedule.
So, but I would say the season just got a lot more interesting if you're a Packers fan. You're like, okay, I might be able to have some fun this year.
Let's go into our next game. Another lovely struggle that we just were so excited about. It was the Broncos losing to the Raiders.
Yeah, a funny thing about this score, 17-16, is this is the same score the Broncos lost to Seattle last year to open the season. 17-16. And look at this. We talk about this. Broncos defense is going to be good. Look, and offense is question mark. Look, exact same story. We got good defense that was failed by a terrible offense.
Yeah. Now Russell had 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, but he threw 34 passes and only had 177 yards.
Yep, 5.2 yards per pass. And the running game was okay, it looks like, from the It's just they can't sustain drive. Look at the receivers here. I mean, he didn't have Jerry Jeudy this game, and Greg Dulcich did get hurt. But like, even when Jerry Jeudy comes back, this offensive weaponry, Cortland Sutton is a shell of what he could have been before injuries. So this offense is not scaring anybody. The weaponry is probably near bottom of the league.
So apparently the Raiders have beaten the Broncos 9 out of the past 11.
Wow.
Again, just one of those teams.
This was the Broncos, so I'm not going to give Jimmy G too much credit, but he wins yet another game.
Well, for him, the only issue is, one, how long is he going to stay healthy? Also, do you want to know what his next lineup is?
Oh, boy.
He goes at Bills, then plays the Steelers, then at the Chargers, Green Bay, Patriots, and at Bears.
Some good defenses they face there besides the Bears.
Yeah, so we'll start seeing kind of what it is. The good thing for McDaniels, that probably keeps you in the job for a little bit, but we'll see afterwards how you all do.
If I was a Raiders fan, I would not be happy with McDaniels as coach.
For Broncos fans, again, this is at home. They lose this game, and it's the same story. I'd be a little worried. I would be very worried.
You gave yourselves a whole offseason of copium, hoping that it wouldn't be the same because you got Sean Payton, and then guess what? It might be the same.
And let's just even say Russell Wilson's better. You're still not getting old Russell Wilson. So I think that in the end, this is going to go down as one of the worst trades ever because I don't think they're going to be sniffing playoffs. No, Super Bowls especially.
All right, we're going to go into probably one of the surprises. It was another divisional game. It was the Rams defeating the Seahawks 30-13. Is it the Rams are back or the Seahawks were flukes?
See, that's what I don't know because, one, this is the biggest surprise to me in the NFL. Well, okay, second biggest was besides the Bengals. I would have flipped this score if you had told me the score was going to be this way.
What's crazy is Matt Stafford looked pretty good. Two receivers got over 100 yards, so that helps you now.
Playing with no Cooper Kupp. This offense is not very good. I mean, let's be honest. With the players they got left, no one's scared of the running backs. He's throwing a Tutu Atwell, who's 5'2". Puka Nacua, who's a rookie. So I thought he was one of the best quarterbacks of this week.
Oh yes. Who would have thought Matt Stafford, no Cooper Kupp, would have been one of the probably putting in a top 5 QB performance? Yeah, I think from their aspect is where I'm going to get to it first. Is where I was a little surprised, though I did have them making playoffs. Is I felt they could bounce back. I still got to give Sean McVay. I think he can coach. I think he can figure out a scheme. Now his run game. Cam Akers was pure trash. 22 carries for 29 yards. Yo, it ain't it, bro.
Yeah, I think I think what's the name? Cameron Williams will be the starting running back from here on out.
Yeah.
Cam Akers he's had a lot of chances to fix it, and he's just.
I'm saying, how many games has Cam Akers had like that? Like a lot of carries for nothing yards. I feel like he does it every game.
Mm-hmm. And each year I feel, this is the year. No, it's still not the year, dude. It is what it is.
Question for you about the Rams. So do you think this game is more the Rams offense being like legitimately good and they're back, or you think their defense, who is made up of no names besides Aaron Donald, is actually good?
I think the offense getting it done and their defense playing good enough.
Is that, and maybe if Phillips' predictions right, Geno's not going to be nearly as good as he was. We'll see.
I just felt it's a fluke. It's a freaking fluke. I really have said it.
So Geno's missed the last 6 games. He is 2-4, and he has a 63 completion percent, which it was at 72 before that. And then his quarterback rating was 83.9, and I believe his quarterback rating before that was like mid 100s, 108.7, so it's dropped 25 points.
I just felt last year like they're going to come back down to earth. I think Geno just had a fluky year, and he's going to come and show you who he is.
This 112 passing yards is lower than any game he had last year. Passer rating wise, it would have been his 4th or 5th worst the whole year. So yeah, I definitely don't think it's going to look as good as last year. I think you're right there. So. I think this was a very concerning performance if you're a Seattle fan.
Yeah, and they were at Seattle, so they can't even say, we were at home. No, you were at Seattle. People are going to see Geno coming this year, and teams are going to take him more seriously this year of like, oh, crap, he did it last year. Let's shut this down.
They play Detroit this week, so that's going to be big.
But with the Rams, it's going to be interesting because Cooper Kupp, how long is he out for? He's not out all season, right?
No, short-term IR, 4 weeks at least. I think it's going to end up being more, but they definitely opened my eyes. They've caught my attention now because I wasn't really expecting much, so now I'm actually going to pay attention to them.
And I think for them, that's a big win because going to the 49ers next week, now you're kind of like, okay, we can afford to lose this game and still remain in playoffs. Whereas if you lost, it's like, oh crap, we're about to go 0-2 or 2-3.
Rams fans came into this game having no expectations. Now, like, holy crap, we might actually be entertained this year.
Yeah, we might do something. All right,
we might be competitive.
We'll go into the clash of Titan quarterbacks. 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks, both from Alabama, going at it. First round, both national champion winning quarterbacks. It was Max's Eagles defeating my Patriots in a 25-20 game.
Before I even get to it, I knew the whole time you were not talking about Tua and Justin Herbert. I was like, I know he's going to bring up Mac Jones.
Of course. Pro Bowl winning. Pro Bowl.
You didn't have me fooled for a second. I knew exactly. But I would say for this, okay, luckily my Eagles won, even though they played not really great at all. I see a lot of Eagles fans on Twitter freaking out about this game 1 performance. 1, look at the rest of the league. All the teams were slow. And 2, the Eagles played poorly and they still won. What are we complaining about? I'll take that any day. If I'm going to play poorly and win, okay, we won.
The Patriots defense is good.
And it was raining for half the game.
It's raining. You're playing Bill Belichick game 1, who's one of the greatest defensive minds, who had all season to scheme for you. This wasn't going to be an easy game. And you were going to New England with the hype of Tom Brady having everything, so the crowd was going to be up for it even more.
I'm not freaking out a bit about it. Even on Thursday they lose to the Vikings, I'm still not freaking out.
I think for me, defense looked pretty good, played as well. Like I wasn't really expecting. I didn't know what to expect. I still thought they would slow them down. Jalen Hurts didn't really have a great passing day, so that was what I expected, especially with the additions of getting the secondary better.
Now, the Eagles, like I said, they didn't play well.
Yeah.
The offensive line was played well under their reputation. Jalen Hurts missed some throws that he didn't miss last year. They had a lot of they get hurt by the quick throws. So there's a lot of stuff that didn't look great. But again, they won.
Patriots side of the ball, I'll at least say offense actually looked competent. So
Jones, he started off rough, but second half was good.
He grew into it. Offense kind of got a little bit better. Now, it was what I expected. Offense got better. Defense played well. They're going to be in a bunch of games for the good or bad.
Dolphins next week. Now, of course, the Dolphins are usually throwing the New England side. So originally, we were thinking New England might start 0-4 because the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, Cowboys. Now they, 2-2, 1-3.
Another thing that could explain the Eagles starting slow. They have a new coordinator, first time ever calling NFL plays.
Yeah, true,
against Bill Belichick. So I'm not worried.
Not a great matchup. Yeah, not a great how you want to start it exactly. But I think both teams probably went away feeling all right. Let's go into the game of the week, which seemed to have the only 2 competent offenses. It was Tua versus Herbert in a battle of 2 quarterbacks that were in the same draft class that had debates of who should have gone over who. But it was a pretty good, thrilling, and exciting game.
Like I'm telling you, if Tua stays healthy, he's going to pass 5,000 yards easy. This offense, you cannot guard Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It simply cannot be done. They're too good at route runners and they're too damn fast. They're going to alternate weeks like this.
I think also Tua showed some pretty good throws because if you saw that last touchdown throw to that fade route, the fade route to Tyreek Hill, who's also you throw a fade usually if you have a tall receiver, but he threw it right in there, and threw a nice dime right in there for Tyreek Hill.
It was a perfect throw. For Herbert, he didn't look bad, but I thought he was going to do more. To be honest, if you told me a quarterback threw for 466 yards, I would have thought it was Justin Herbert.
Is Zach going to finally get that 1,000 yards rushing?
If he's healthy, yes.
If Kelly keeps playing well, they might be splitting it, and which I think that's good. Herbert takes a little less hits. I will say there was a couple little instances. The J.C. Jackson had a huge penalty that came back to bite him at the end of the first half, which is something that Brady used to do is they used to throw it deep, hoping that they could either get a big play or get a PI.
Commentary even mentioned it's like, why wouldn't you do that to end the half if you're in the offense? Because a lot of times you will get called that defensive pass
interference. Yeah, just try and see. Just throw it down there, see if you get the big play. I think both teams showed you, both offenses looked good. So there's a lot to work with both offenses.
If I was a Chargers fan, though, this is Brandon Staley. He's supposed to be defensive coach. They have a lot of money spent on defense. J.C. Jackson, Joey Bosa, and the results aren't there. The defense is not looking good. Granted, this is Miami, and they're one of the best offenses in the league. But you paid a lot of money. You thought you were going to get a stop, and they couldn't get nothing the whole game.
It was a game that you kind of knew whoever had the ball last was winning the game.
Now, since these two were picks in the same draft, there's always a debate between them. So I think it's too early to decide who's better between these two, but people want to make the decision. Do you have a preference of which one?
No.
I still think Herbert's slightly better.
I would still, if you had the gun in my head, I still take Herbert. Because, like you said, because you don't have the concussion risk.
Any quarterback on this offense, I think, would do well. Now, I'm not saying Tua's not doing anything. Like you said, that throw he had was perfect.
Yeah.
Only a good quarterback could do that. But I'm saying most quarterbacks can do what he's doing on this team.
Oh, yeah. Are eating all day with us. Yeah, most of the good quarterbacks. Was misspoken. It wasn't whoever had the ball last. Shout out to Dolphins defense. Came up with the big plays at the end of the game when the Chargers got the ball back. Both teams are pretty exciting. Good to watch. Dolphins, solid win. This was one you really definitely wanted because this was a good opponent.
Highly in seeding, playoff seeding too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, we're going to go into some sad news. Unfortunately, the Cowboys destroyed the Giants in Sunday night. Unfortunately, you have to hit every game. It's the first time a team scored 40 points. The other team scored 0. One team got 7 sacks. The other team got 0. One team had 3 turnovers. The other team had 0.
Yeah, there was a stat. There were 6 things that has never happened to a team in one season, and it said it happened to the Giants all in one game on Sunday. That's crazy. At least a positive for the Giants. You didn't get anyone hurt, and it can only go up from here, really. It really can.
By the Cardinals next, I hope so.
Yeah, like we said, if they lose the Cardinals, then, it's bad news. See, the thing is, though, with the Giants, the first drive was really
the first drive was
they
good.
Did anything. Yeah, they ran the ball, and they did. Daniel Jones actually ran the ball a lot, too.
There's something about that kick it and block just killed them.
Yeah, I say once that happened, they just got dominated.
Yeah, and then once they started going down even more, it also was one of those things like they kept getting down. A big part of the Giants' offense has been the run game, but because they were down, they had to throw because they'll hit you with the run game and then a play action. They really couldn't hit that.
Weather was terrible.
Weather was bad. The defense was like Jones did not get a lot of time. That defense was all in his face. They were there every time. Michael Parsons is making a big statement for Defensive Player of the Year. Right now, it's the front runner. Granted, it's week 1, but
the coaches, Philip, you need to talk to them because they did your boy they did no service there at the end because they kept him in the game. He only missed the last drive. They kept him in this game the whole time, essentially, for no reason. Just to take more hits? Why? You just paid the man money. You want him to get hit?
They were, I think, trying to run or trying to get
There's nothing here that was going to get them any positive momentum for next week. He should have been taken out. By the time he should have been taken out, he had taken 2 or 3 more sacks. And you can get hurt anytime.
So it was just one of those games, like, stuff just went Cowboys' way. The block, punt. It was like 4th down. They fumble, and somehow they still got the first down.
The Saquon interception when he just lost the ball. But some people talking like, the Cowboys offense looks great. I'm like, I don't know. No, we don't even know. They didn't have to do anything.
They didn't. They start off in good position. Like, honestly, Dak Prescott had 134 yards. He didn't really have to do much.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know what, the defense clearly, that's going to be a problem right there. But offense, we don't know what they look like yet. I know they're going to be a good looking offense, but there's nothing to take away from the Cowboys except their defense could be historic if they keep this up.
But with the good news, Jacob and I's Blue Devils are 2-0, baby.
Yes, sir.
2-0. Yes, sir. Ranked. Yes, sir.
I knew we had to fit that in there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Had to put a positive out that game. I think the Giants will be fine. They'll bounce back. It was just a bad game. Get out of their heads. Retool. Though I wouldn't mind seeing them try and make a play for a receiver still. But, it was just sometimes just not your day. So we're going to go into our next game. They won the battle, but lost the war big time. It is the New York Jets beating the Bills.
I haven't. You could argue though, the Jets had the best week 1 in New York.
They did. Well, I mean, they had the best week 1, but the most depressing week 1 because your whole Super Bowl aspirations lost very quickly.
Yep.
Robert Salah said, if we get someone, it's not going to be a competition for Zach as Zach's team. I'm like, you're going to regret if you don't get someone who could actually compete with him. Like, if I were them, I would go ahead and get Wentz. You could put him on there, see what happens. I mean, he can't be worse than Zach Wilson. He's going to regret saying that about Zach Wilson. I think in 2 weeks, they play the Cowboys this week. Zach Wilson against the Cowboys? Are you kidding me? Did you see how bad the offensive line looked for the Jets?
Oh, good
you
luck.
combine that with Zach Wilson already being trashed. That interception he had was horrible, and the touchdown he had. I mean, he didn't do a damn thing for that.
Oh, Garrett Wilson, good like that. Oh my God, that was
that was 0% Zach Wilson. He was trying to play defense, is what Garrett Wilson was trying to do.
Yeah, pretty much. He threw it up there. Was like, oh, okay, hopefully this works out.
But this is just terrible. Aaron Rodgers' 4th play, he goes down. That is unbelievable.
Did you just get any unluckier? Like, how many teams have just your Super Bowl hopes just dashed like that? Of like, are you kidding me?
And, well, it's also bad for the league. I mean, this was like the Hard Knocks team. The league wanted the Jets to be good, and I mean. I'm so glad I'm not a Jets fan. I would be deflated.
Sure.
This franchise is just cursed. They get obvious Hall of Fame quarterbacks and then they get hurt.
Even if they weren't good, it would have been interesting with Rodgers. They still would have been interesting at worst.
Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback they ever had step on the field, and they only had him for 4 plays. You know, it's just how is he going to recover? Because he has 39. We'll see.
No.
Another thing that's crazy, if you like watch the replay, Aaron Rodgers is like so chill about his Achilles being just torn.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's angry, but like he has no reaction. He's not grimacing. He's not doing like anything. He's just like, yep, it's torn. What now? Like I'm like, dude, I'd be like panicking. I'm like, I'd be like, cut it off, cut my foot off.
True. That's why I didn't think the injury was going to be horrible. I thought it would be like, a couple games.
When it went to commercial, I was like, he'll be back next drive. I'm not worried about it. At least that punt return got some of the Jets fans to jump off the ledge a little bit.
Yep.
Because it was bad. It was going to be a bad night as they lost that game. Oh.
Yep. Now we got to turn it to the other team because this was a bad no Rodgers. Yeah. If you had told me before the game, Rodgers is getting out in the 4th play, I'm thinking, Bills are winning easy. This is my thing and why I said my questions about Josh Allen. The further you've gone away from Daboll, since Daboll has no longer been his coordinator, he is, including playoffs, it's been like over 20 turnovers. He throws a lot of these questionable he's sometimes too talented for his own good. A lot of questionable passes. He had that fumble, which he should have just fell down, tried to make a play, threw that deep ball with triple coverage. Like, this is what he does. I don't believe in the Bills winning a Super Bowl because in the end of the day, I feel we all remember these great Josh Allen moments because of when he destroyed New England, when he went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. He'll have these moments, but when it comes down to it, since Daboll's left, he has a lot of these I think Daboll's not there to rein him in and say, do not make this throw.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game, and like there were times when Josh Allen had a wide open lane. He could have ran for first down. He throws a ball, and I can't remember if it got picked or not, but it wasn't completed. He just keeps forcing stuff. He looks like a different player yesterday than he has for a while. He looks a lot less confident. I think he's worried to turn the ball over now, and that's in his head, and he keeps just doing it. Yeah, the Bills really need someone besides Stephon Diggs to do something on offense.
Yeah, they thought Gabe Davis would be that dude, but he might not be.
He might be best as a 3.
This is a game you should have won. Once and for you, you're fighting for a Super Bowl. At least the Jets can say, you know what? Lost our quarterback. We're not in the conversation anymore. You still have your quarterback, and it's a little concerning you lose this game. So, guys, at this moment, I know it's very early. Do you want to go into, first of all, MVP of watch?
I mean, Tua, and I guess you could put Tyreek somewhere in there, too. They're shooting up the ranks.
That'd be the top 2.
The rest of the league, all the top MVP candidates, didn't play that well this week. So,
Week 1 overreactions.
Don't get excited, Tampa Bay fans. I'm still not sold on Green Bay. We'll see about the Rams.
Pause for pause. And is there anything that I think, any team that really you're like, ooh, I'm pausing a little bit?
I'm pausing on the Seahawks.
Denver. I'd fade Denver too.
My cause for pause is probably going to be, but it's early. So that brings us to our first week of NFL 2023 Week 1 recap. Be tuned in each week as we do each recap. Again, my name's Legacy.
And I'm Max.
Papa Jim.